It's Monday, guys. That means it's time for a Halo Q&A. So the rules are very simple if you're just joining. All you have to do is leave your Halo-related or personal questions in the comment section below, and they may show up on next week's shows. But we are going to kick this week off with a question from Mayeto El Bueno. I hope I pronounced that right. I hope. But he says, this needs to appear on the next Q&A video, please. What do you think about if 343 made the next Halo game with 30 missions or more, and every single mission takes around 1 hour to complete per mission without exploring the entire map? For me, that would be cool, interesting, entertaining, etc., etc. What about you? Greetings from Mexico. So personally for me, I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that for Halo 6, but the issue is it's not a very realistic, not a really realistic expectation for the sequel, because especially in the year 2016, video games are very difficult to design. Like, it takes a long time. 3 years to create a video game means that you need to work long hours every day of the week, sometimes even skip vacation, sometimes stay after hours. I know a few game devs that I've talked to who have said they'd had to go over their clock. They had to stay late at work without pay just to crunch in the development so that they could meet their deadline and stuff. And they might just be designing a simple campaign level or something, but it takes so long to design and they only have 3 years to work with, which is part of why I'm starting to think that the current, usually most games take about 3 years to develop. I think that we need to maybe start looking at 4 years to develop, because sadly, video games are getting too big and complex for the simple 3-year development cycle anymore. Now, obviously, the issue with jumping to a 4-year development cycle is audience retention and publishers demanding money instantly. You know, if you pump out a sequel to a game every 4 years, people are going to get tired of waiting 4 years for the next iteration, and they might move on to other franchises. That's why you usually see a new game once every 2 or 3 years or something, just because the publishers want that money and they want extra sequels and spin-offs out instantly. And sometimes you'll even see little like handheld games or different spin-offs or comics in between that, because they desperately want to keep audience retention so that you don't drift off and find another series that you're going to become invested in. So I'd absolutely love it if Halo 6 had 30 missions and each mission was an hour long, but sadly that's not very realistic just because of how difficult and time consuming it is to create a video game. But you know, those are just my thoughts on it, and so we are going to move on to the next question, and the next question actually comes from The Ultimate Forger, who says, Q&A, Halo has become very successful ever since Halo CE came out, until Halo 4. Is it because of the drastic change to the art style and the story of Halo? I'm a big fan of your videos and I would love to hear your opinion. Keep up the great work. Yes, I repeated this message. And so the thing is, I think that Halo CE definitely was the start of something incredible, and it really did launch the Halo franchise and stuff. And also, Halo CE, we hadn't seen quite a lot of shooters at the scale of Halo Combat Evolved. And then nowadays, there are obviously many more shooters out there on the market and stuff. So that has a little bit to play with it, is that now there's more variety. People can find different games that interest them more, where back in the day, it was really Halo Combat Evolved, Half-Life, the Doom series. Like, there weren't too many. You had Medal of Honor, though, I believe. I might be mistaken. But, so I think, though, now, you know, not to say it's entirely that people just have other shooters they want to play. I do think it's also a little bit of just mishandling, because ever since Microsoft acquired the series rights and stuff, they kind of went crazy, focus group testing everything, to the way that the campaigns are paced, to the art style, to the sound design, all sorts of stuff. And now Halo, a lot of the decisions made, like questionable creative decisions, whether it be the art style, the way that the multiplayer is designed, microtransactions, DLC, special editions, pricing, marketing, like all sorts of stuff like that is heavily dictated now by Microsoft, because Bungie's out of the picture and now Microsoft owns the rights to Halo. They get to say whatever they want. And I do think that right now Microsoft is a company run by fear. Like, you know, they're not winning the console war. I don't think there's any, like, secret about that. You know, Sony this generation has the lead. And I think even back in the day, Microsoft was getting a little bit, like, during the days of the 360, Microsoft was getting a little bit worried about the competition because the PS3 was catching up to the 360 at the end of its life cycle. And they wanted to get people onto the Halo bandwagon for the next console and stuff. So they went to great lengths to kind of revamp the Halo series and turn it on its head and turn it into a new thing, starting with Halo 4. They radically redesigned the art style. The way that the story was told was actually very similar to Mass Effect, where it's very deep, character-driven stories. The multiplayer, obviously, they were trying to appeal to the Call of Duty crowd. They were hoping to get more people in on the Halo bandwagon now that it's been kind of rebranded under Microsoft's leadership. But sadly, people, well, not sadly, people don't like this new Halo. People miss Halo. And Microsoft, in this kind of like fear and also I think like a little bit of like ego where it's like, no, like we're doing this, we gotta do it, we're like, you're our customers and we're gonna appeal to everybody, you all gotta play this, please, oh my gosh, look at this game, don't the Spartans look cooler now? Much cooler than Bungie Spartans, right? Look at them, they look like Mass Effect soldiers. Oh, listen to the guns, they sound like real guns now, not like the classic iconic sound effects of previous Halo games. Like, you kind of get my opinion, what I'm trying to say. They are trying to change up Halo to just draw in as much people as possible. And I think that not only by doing that are you starting to take away from what made Halo so special, being original, being itself. Now, even the Halo fans are saying, like, what the hell? This isn't Halo. This is, like, generic military shooter number 187. So, sadly, by trying to appeal to everyone, they're pushing away everybody because they're trying to combine all these elements of different shooters on the market, but by doing that, they just end up making a generic shooter that is combined with elements that other games already have, defining elements. So, you know, those are just some of my opinions, but you know, I hope that answers your question. So the next question comes from William Grant, who says, "Hey Taras, Q&A. Recently I've been playing a lot of War Thunder, a very realistic tank and warplane simulator, and it's got me thinking, how about instead of vehicles having HP, they have modules? For example, if you hit the engine of a Scorpion, it becomes immobilized. Or if you hit the cannon barrel with a large enough caliber gun, the gun may lose accuracy or become disabled. At the same time, bullets from smaller caliber guns will bounce off the armor harmlessly. Also, plasma could burn small holes in the armor, leaving weak spots for regular guns to hit. You know, provided the wielder is accurate enough. I think this may be a way of preventing armored vehicles from succumbing to small arms fire as often as they do. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts and keep up the great work." So this is a very good question. Part of why I chose it is because it brings up a very good point. In the past, I've said that the issue with Halo 5 is that the gameplay has been changed up drastically from the traditional Halo gameplay that we all know and love. Spartans are much faster, much more deadly, and there are certain vehicles that are kind of being left to the wayside. I mean, obviously, like, Scorpions and stuff are very useful in Warzone, but if you go into big team battle, there are a lot of useless vehicles in the big team battle scene. And so, in my opinion, I think that there are some vehicles that need to be reworked. And if anything, I think that the entire vehicle system needs to be reworked and changed a little bit. Because, you know, while you're changing up the gameplay, the vehicle gameplay is still very much the same thing from Halo Combat Evolved so many years ago. Obviously, we've had a few small changes, like being able to hijack, being able to switch seats by pressing the jump button. And those are great, but there needs to be a little bit more. And so William Grant here brings up some really good points. I would honestly agree with that. Now, sadly, there are certain things with the gameplay that the developers and definitely the publishers will not be willing to do, and it's make deep gameplay that requires you to think. It's part of why the Halo series now uses hit scan almost exclusively across their titles now, ever since Halo 4, well, to be fair, there's only been one other game besides Halo 4, but moving forward, the Halo series is going to start using hit scan, no bullet drop or anything, because bullet drop means that if there's an enemy at the distance, then you need to, maybe aim a little bit higher or lead your shots or something, because the bullets are actually projectiles that come out of your weapon. But with hit scan, just whatever's in the center of your screen, when you pull the trigger, instantly gets hit, almost like a laser beam or something. Like, there's no skill required, and sadly, when it comes to making cannons less accurate, it's like, ooh, that's not, that's a little bit too deep for the casual players and stuff, so I don't think that they would do something like that, sadly, but personally, I would love it, and honestly, it's some pretty good ideas, so, if you guys even want, in the comment section, come up with ideas to balance the individual vehicles and make them kind of, like, interesting and deep, just like he described with the Scorpion here. Just let me know. I want to read some of your comments. But, so we are going to move on to the next question, which actually comes from Favin. He's actually a friend of mine. I was really happy to see that he actually posed this question, but... So he says, question, if you had to take one thing from each Halo game, even the ones you don't like, and put them in the next Halo game, what would these things be? One rule, they can't currently exist in Halo 5. Alright, well, so number one, from the Halo CE campaign, I'd like to see, like, drops return in the campaigns, like active camo, overshields, and stuff. From Halo 2, maybe being able to see in the campaign the point of view of the villains, what they're up to. That way we can better understand some of their motivations, because currently the problem with 343's writing is their villains aren't very fleshed out in-game. I mean, the Didact is an incredibly deep and well-written character, in my opinion, but his presence in Halo 4 was definitely weaker than his presence in the books and the expanded Halo universe. And the Warden Eternal and Cortana, I mean, that was a joke. Like, that was quite literally a joke happening on screen, how poorly executed and thought out those villains were. From Halo 3, I'd like to see some of the, maybe some of the different equipment that you can carry, like your own little grav lift that you can deploy to help you get up to higher places and stuff, your little shields that you can deploy. I'd love to see that from Halo 3. As well as campaign theater. From Halo 3 ODST, I'd love to see the hub worlds return, because that was supposed to return in Halo 5 originally. There were going to be like 3 of them, and sadly we didn't get that. That was cut from the final game. From Halo Reach, I'd like to see matchmaking for the campaign. I would like to see a firefight, the classic firefight that you could customize and everything. And then for Halo 4, from Halo 4, I'd like to see good storytelling in Halo 6, because that's a thing Halo 5 doesn't have. And then surprisingly enough, I do even have something from Halo 5 that I'd like to see in Halo 6. I'd like to see the assassination customization, the way you can have different assassination animations. This time I hope that you can earn them and they're not all part of a random number generator, but I did actually like that. I never really thought about that, but that's something pretty cool that you can choose what assassination animation will play. So, I hope that answers your question, dude, and we are going to move on to the final one, which is from Jack Chenob. I have no idea how to pronounce this, I'm so sorry, but he says, Q&A, if you could control the entire development of Halo 6, what things would you do? Well, number one, okay, so if I was in charge, all right, let's pretend I'm in charge of everything Halo. I don't need to worry about Microsoft interference. I don't need to worry about the marketing department. I don't need to worry about my different investors, trying to please them and stuff. It's just, I'm sitting here, I've got a ton of money, and I'm going to make a video game. First order of business would be going out and hiring some of the best writers in sci-fi. I would try to find award-winning writers, as well as maybe even trying to chase down some people who even worked on past Bungie games and stuff. Second order of business would be getting rid of this awful new art style. I'd bring everything back to the Halo 3/Halo 2 days. The elites would look just like the Halo 2 elites again. The Marines would look, well, like Marines again and not like a bunch of kids wearing Nerf armor like they do in Halo 4 and Halo 5. Microtransactions would be gone and everything. And so here's the thing. I know this isn't very realistic what I'm saying, but this is an imaginary like world where I can do whatever I want with the Halo game. I don't need to worry about money. It's going to sell amazingly, okay? So get rid of microtransactions, no paid DLC, none of this stupid, like, holding back content and then pretending it's free DLC, like the Infection DLC. Christ. But so the next thing that I would do is I'd get people world-renowned for developing great single-player campaigns. I would probably try to pursue Marty O'Donnell, see if he could come back for the sound design, as well as a few other musicians, such as Tom Salta, who worked on the Halo Spartan Assault soundtrack, which is criminally underrated as a Halo soundtrack, the Spartan Assault soundtrack. And just try to get the best minds in the world, and we would come together and we would honestly try to create the perfect Halo experience. It would have classic firefight. It would have tons of playlists, including Warzone, but more refined, and it wouldn't have to rely on random number generators. There would actually be unlocks and stuff. Now, when it comes to the campaign and repairing the damage left over by Halo 5's campaign, with Cortana being an evil super robot dictator, I would write that off in Halo 6 as it's not really Cortana. It's a, like, disguise by the Didact. He's back from Halo 4, and he was using the image of Cortana to manipulate Chief emotionally so that Chief couldn't take him down a second time. You know, something like that. I'm not really thinking very clearly right now, but, you know, something. Basically, it can't be Cortana because that is unbelievably out of Cortana's question to be evil. With Locke, I would focus much more on developing Locke as a character and not having him be a cardboard cutout like in Halo 5. Same with the rest of Fireteam Osiris. Vale and Tanaka would definitely need to have some characterization to make them actual characters. Yeah, but it would be tough, like, trying to repair a lot of the damage Halo 5 story did, but I think I could pull it off. I mean, I'd need a lot of help and a lot of talent, but that would be, like, my perfect world if I was in charge of Halo's development. But, you know, what would you guys do with Halo 6 if you were in charge? And don't worry about publishers, money, or anything. Just imagine that you have infinite resources. You have complete 100% complete creative control over every aspect of the game's development. You don't need to worry about the publisher breathing down your neck, or the PR department, or the marketing, or your investors, or whatever. You make the Halo 6 you want to make. What would you guys do? And so, guys, that wraps up this week of the Q&A. I hope that I answered some of your questions, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.